I have to admit, every once in a while I go through Google looking up different F-14 pictures, seeing if new ones come up or whatever, now that the old girl's retired. I still remember growing up, and over the years building well over 100 different model cars, airplanes, and even in one 1/44 scale space shuttle, Columbia. I had a space hab and a little arm, a couple other nifty little things, and the doors opened and closed, the payload bay doors. Sometimes, like a lot of other young boys, I would test them. My favorites were the F-14 and the F-15 as far as aerodynamics go. They were two of the most stable planes I've built and tested. When I threw them, they always somehow managed to go pointy end first. As cool as it was, I didn't really think I'd ever be able to touch, much less molest, an A-10 Warthog, or climb into the intakes of Tomcats, Hornets, etc. I didn't expect it to be a part of my job to duck dive, to check the intakes and the engines for bird's nest and whatnot. I never expected to use an A-10 as a seesaw with a friend either. I didn't ever dream I'd work with the Blue Angels. Hell, I'd never even attended an air show before I joined the Navy. But my initial impression of an actual Tomcat, after building a few different model versions and different scales, was, okay, I know it's decent sized. I know it's one of the most feared fighters in the Navy that the Navy's ever used. And I know it can carry one of the biggest air-to-air missiles in the inventory. But when I actually heard that one was inbound to my location, I was excited as a fat kid at Chuck E. Cheese's. Seeing as I was new to them, I had to follow some really strict direction, avoiding the massive hungry intakes and the low fire-breathing tailpipes and the huge, massive control surfaces. As I'm walking towards it, and the closer I get to it, the more I'm absolutely amazed at this thing. It has panels bigger than some car doors. As exciting as it is, working with just a plane or two at a time compared to air shows is like night and day. Air shows. Oh my gods. Talk about organized chaos. Roughly 200 planes, some static displays, some performers. The memory of standing in front of C-130s telling them to back up using reverse pitch, being sandblasted by the loose rocks on the flight line as it does reverse the propeller pitch. It's something that still makes me kind of pause in thought. Engine startups, fuel fireballs belching out of the tailpipes of cold airplanes, the quiet ramp first thing in the morning. Nothing will replace the feeling of serenity walking across the ramp right at sunup to do a pre-flight on some of the day's heavy iron performers. One example I still remember doing was filling the liquid oxygen, or LOX converters, with nothing more than a white t-shirt as the barrier between the LOX, which is 297 degrees below zero, and my bare hand. Chasing planes around with fuel trucks, tugs, electrical power carts, standing directly between the intakes of an F-14, having my arm pulled into an F-16 intake twice, being stuck to the auxiliary intake on a Sea Harrier, seeing APUs catch on fire, replacing starter gear splines on a flight line 2 hours after I was supposed to close up shop and be at home playing on my computer, nearly wrecking Air Force One, checking out the events going on the Air Force side of Andrews Air Force Base, near Air Force One's hangar from the comfort of your own shop on the Navy side, and seeing your own reflection in a sniper's scope as he's looking at you while you look at him through binoculars. Feeling the sudden realization of just how inadequate or vulnerable you really are at that point. You're actually seeing the sniper look at you from, we'll say, probably 3/4 to a mile away from you. It's a very sobering feeling. I did that, and once I realized he was looking directly at me with that nifty little sniper scope and, weapon, I waved at him very slowly, and I got the hell off the desk. It was that bad. Anyway, all these experiences and more I'll eventually post. I just wanted to kind of make a documented journal in audio, just to kind of remember some of the things I'll never forget as part of my experience when I did my time at Naval Air Facility, Washington, D.C., which is over at Andrews Air Force Base. And as much as I hated the bullshit, the red tape, the president, which was W at the time, and Clinton too a bit, and all the politics in the Navy, there is still a part of me that loved it. So, when I have some time, I'll post another one of these. Maybe it'll be a little bit better quality. Thanks for listening.